What you didn't do is send us a gift last week when we had our 61st anniversary, but that's okay. I'll
65, 60, 65th, you said? 61st?
61.
61. Wow.
Wow, congratulations.
Where's the gift?
Hats off to Barb. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, I call to order the counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency and counties of Warren and Washington Civil Development Corporation Executive and Park Committee meeting on 2 July at 0900. We get a roll call, Ally, please.
Tim Robinson,
Here.
Dan Bruno,
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 3 out of 5.
Great. So everybody looks at the meeting or the read ahead, the approval of the minutes of the May 7th, 2025 IGA Executive Park meeting is there. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes. Tim, second. Dan, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Great. All right, report of committees. Park Chair, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Regarding canal side, we had a meeting with Labella on the 25th of June to assess their progress with current design, etc. They are, after we reviewed their water system assessment report for canal side, myself, Chuck, I don't remember who else did, but they're submitting that to the Village of Fort Edward along with this will serve request. That's a letter. I don't know if you're all familiar with it.
Yes.
Anyway, so that is being submitted, and the place looks to be in pretty good shape. I believe we're going to rent a large mower so that we can catch up on all the grass stuff that got ahead of us. What's his name? Everett, thank you. I'm always searching for that. Anyway, because of the weather, all the rain. But the place looks pretty good, and I believe Keywood is kind of winding down. They've removed a lot of equipment and stuff that I think they don't need anymore, at least at this location. So I'm sure Chuck will have some things to add. Regarding the airport, we had scheduled a meeting yesterday with DEC to discuss the 100-foot buffer and its effect on us and our property, et cetera, but that fell apart because people on vacation, et cetera, and it hasn't been rescheduled yet. So, other than that, I think that's about it for me.
Great. All right, we'll turn it over to Chuck for the rest of the reports.
Okay, so as far as canal side projects, Dan hit the water system issue, so I'll skip that. We do have the wastewater system design underway. We toured some engineers, not only Labella, but some of the subcontractors on last Thursday. And so those engineers were impressed with the building, impressed with the discharge, impressed with the power in the building. So felt very confident in being able to come up with a meaningful and reasonably cost on-site treatment system. The third issue is on the canal side, East Street detour for 2026. I did have a good conversation with Nick Hansen, who is Canal Corp Transportation Maintenance Engineer for both Fort Edward and Waterford. He provided some advice on how to maintain and slightly modify the access road from East Street to our gate that goes over the Canal Corp property. Of course, we have to do a Canal Corp application. He graciously offered to start looking at the preliminary design work for any modification to the road. Dan and I talked about this, and we've engaged Bob Holmes to come up with a conceptual drawing for any modification to the road work. Bob said he's on vacation this week, as we all know, and he said when he returns next week, he'll start that conceptual drawing. Hopefully we'll have it in July and be able to then move forward with an application, formal application to Canal Corp for any modifications we need to do with that new detour entrance. And we do have a little bit of a timing play. We're hoping to do the bridge project in spring of 2026, and the time's going to go quick with the review process for the conceptual drawings, not only from the engineering perspective, but also from the environmental and safety perspective of Canal Corp. And then we, of course, will be need to talk about what the cost of this will be, who will bear the cost, and then to bid out the project. So we have, frankly, a lot of work in front of us, and that work has started, and hopefully every meeting here on out will have updates on the detour for 2026. I don't know if Dan, you have anything to add to that, or anybody has any questions?
No, I don't have much to it. I'm confident that we can get something soon. Won't take much to do the conceptual design. It's not that big of a project. And once we get that, review it with Canal Corp and proceed. But I'm pretty confident we can get a design, et cetera, and put it out for bid in the next couple of months.
Yeah, one thing Canal Corp said to us, they and we want to really keep this simple. We don't have to make this elaborate. So yeah, they've been great so far. We just have a lot to do, that's all.
Yeah, we just need to provide enough room on that passage, so to speak, for
Right.
vehicles to pass one another coming and going, entering and
Yep.
exiting. Other than that, it's pretty.
Okay, so the fourth item on my list was just saying with the canal side natural gas, there is contact now with National Grid. It is slowly proceeding. I expect it will take a while before we get any definitive answer, but there has been formal engagement with National Grid and they have responded. More work to be done there. Moving on to maintenance, Dan had mentioned the issue about our mower. As a reminder, we had bought a rider mower with probably a 36-inch deck, not too big of a machine, and that has worked well for us. But this past late spring into summer, with all the rain and then the rapid growth, it's really, frankly, had gotten out of control. And so Everett came to us and asked and suggested that we rent a skid steer brush hog, which is a track, like a Bobcat, a track unit with a 4-foot brush hog on the front. And he said if he was able to have that for about a month, he could do the entire site. So Everett has gone out and gotten 3 verbal quotes. 2 were over $6,000 for a rental company in Queensbury and a rental company in Saratoga. There was one company in Clifton Park was willing to do it for a little under $5,000. We did contact over 10 companies. Many companies don't rent this type of machine, so it's quite a unique venture, just trying to find the 3 bids that we have found. So we would like to go forward with doing the rental, and we'd like to get it going now, and then we'll seek formal board approval on the 21st. But as far as this committee, we're hoping that the committee will support us with the idea of renting this machine for a month.
Yeah, the weather, the projected weather looks very favorable to get in there and get this done. Not nearly as much rain as we've had. It's a good thing, maybe it's not. But it'll provide us an opportunity, or ever an opportunity, to get this done, get it back into control.
I'm good with it, just as long as everyone understands how to work a track machine and what it can do to the lawn if he doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah, the delivery will include a training session. So, yeah.
We
Okay.
don't have a cost though, we don't have a final cost. But a little under 5 for this particular Clifton Park, is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, I've got when I looked at the costs the other day, we're up to about 4,948. We thought we were on 4,500, but I realized that we had to add in the rental of the brush hog itself. I was only counting the skid steer. So we're up to about 5,000, but that's 1,000 less than the other two quotes we received.
Yeah, I'm supportive. It's gotta be done.
Okay, so if there's no objections, we'll just bring it up for formal approval at our board meeting on the 21st. Meanwhile, we'll proceed with the rental because time is of the essence.
Sounds good.
Okay, just moving on
Sorry,
to.
can I, Chuck, for a second? With this involving money, I would like a roll call for the record, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, okay, so this is for 1 month rental?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move this financial request to the full board. Dan, seconds. Tim, a roll call vote, Alan?
Okay, Tim Robinson, Dan Brunel,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez. Thank you.
Good idea.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just moving on to tenant updates. I have three. As we know, CHP is going to discontinue the soil storage operation. They actually did at the end of May, and they started cleaning out in June. Sterling Engineering, working on our behalf, has inspected the site and the records. All is in good order. We received a draft letter that I have passed along to CHPE this morning, actually, and they're already responding in a favorable fashion. So we are running hard to close out that project. Will probably close out by the end of July. And I don't know, Dan, if you have anything to add to that.
No, nothing really, but I'm curious, excuse me, has Kiewit given any more indication of whether they want any of that soil or not, that mound? No.
Perfect. Great question. That's number 2 on my list. And the answer is they have not. I talked to them about a week and a half ago. They said they were still interested, but they haven't come forth and said they are definitely interested. So it's actually been very slow as far as their progress with determining whether or not they want to use the clean fill.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And so they'll pay through the end of July, perhaps? Assuming for the laydown space for the soil.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
The rental income will end in July on that, storage.
It will end in June. They gave us notice at the end of May. So we billed them for June, even though there was no activity and they were cleaning up. They're now completely cleaned out. So we were not expecting to bill them for July.
So what is this draft letter then?
It's the engineering closeout letter.
Oh, from Sterling.
from Sterling,
Gotcha.
yes.
Okay, perfect.
So-
Thank you.
Meet by a third time. Decent. Not that aspect, but the draft letter, how long is that, do you see that being wrapped up in the month of July? I mean, I don't understand why they're not paying through the end of.
Yeah, I have the letter up here. I'd be happy to summarize a few aspects really quick. Sorry, I have a couple things open here. He said there were 5 bullets. He said as far as documentation, it's occurred and been provided, and there's a lot of records, and so we need to have it put on a some sort of thumb drive of sorts, so we can then keep the files ourselves. The second reads, the inspection on June 6, 2025 confirmed that the soil storage bins have been restored to condition equal to or better than pre-lease condition. No corrective actions are recommended to the soil storage bins.
Okay.
So and then there's a few other administrative issues, but he gave it a clean bill of health. There is at the end, he reminds us that CHP need to provide the DEC documentation on the closeout. So Andrew from Sterling Environmental was very thorough in his analysis.
Do we, is there any, so we're kind of losing our leverage here. If, we don't get the sign, because they don't owe us. We haven't built them.
Well, while we close this out, I think it's hard for me to hear, Tim, but I think while we close out, if there's anything that's later discovered, they're still on the hook. And
Right.
with the agreement we put with them.
Okay, all right, no, I'm fine.
Which real estate agent finished this lease? Was it our previous one, CBRE?
Correct. And we have notified them that this is ending.
Okay, and they know, good, all right.
All right, thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. The only other thing I'll mention with tenant updates is that Berkshire Hathaway Blake Realty continue to generate interest in our site. I reported last meeting, we had one company doing due diligence. We now have a second company doing due diligence with Berkshire Hathaway. Still very early in the process. The second company did tour the site in June. If there is further interest, we'll obviously have additional tours and more information requests. But nothing to report as specific yet. We just have to wait for these two companies to do their due diligence.
Is that those two plus the one that's been doing due diligence for months, or is it?
Correct.
One-
So we have, correct, we have three total. Yep.
All right.
Moving on to the airport industrial park updates. As Dan reported, with the Ferguson Lane extension, that area where we have trying to do a meeting with the DEC on the wetlands. We were hoping to do this week, but several of us were on vacation. There is a proposal for next week. And we're waiting for, and Bob Holmes did reply favorably, so maybe we'll be able to pull the meeting off next week with the DEC to get indication of that buffer issue with access to the developable land. And as a reminder, Berkshire Hathaway Blake Realty has a party interested in that 26-acre site, but needs this wetland issue and buffer issue to be resolved with the DEC. And then my final report out on the airport industrial park is that yesterday we received a letter of intent from Glens Falls Rotary in conjunction with other Rotary clubs. As you know, they're interested in our 20-acre site that is heavily impacted by wetlands. They would like to do a tree farm and an educational center. They have a lot to do as far as scoping out the project and talking with regulatory and town officials. And as far as letter of intent, we just received it. Kara has not had a chance to take a look at it, nor any of us. So we will look at that between now and the board meeting. We'll report out more on that letter of intent at our July 21st board meeting. And that's it on the airport industrial park, unless there are any questions.
Just want to make sure, so we've got one interested party in the Ferguson grouping, at the end of Ferguson Lane, the group in there. Then we've got Rotary on the second side, 20 acres in that area. And then we've got no current interest in the, that one site down below and Airport Industrial Park 1, correct?
That's all correct.
And those are the only three remaining lots that we have left, correct?
That's correct.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Yep. And that's it on the parks, unless again, there are any questions. Any more questions?
No,
All right.
thank you.
Great. Appreciate that, Chuck. All right. Any ongoing business?
I have two ongoing businesses. There was discussion about us having Warren Washington IDA banners hung at sites where there is construction with projects that received our incentives. We have ordered and received the banners. We have two sizes, 4 feet long and 6 feet long. And we will be hanging them at the FW website, the Copperfield Hotel up in North Creek, and HQ Powder Coating. So we have the banners, and when I return, we'll get them hung up.
Great.
And the other report out is that Allie and I have interviewed people for the social media intern, and we have made a selection and an offer. And Allie, do you want to continue with that a little bit? And I have a resume. I'd be happy to talk more about her, but do you want to give further insight on where we are with Nicole?
Sure, I can. So Nicole Rodriguez is one of the candidates that had applied to the social media intern job. And Chuck and I interviewed her. She was lovely. And Alice interviewed her as well, separately, away from us, and came back with positive feedback. And so we offered Nicole the job. She accepted. She is not a U.S. citizen, though. So she will be going through an F1 authorization that allows her to have this intern job because it's part of what she's doing at school. She's currently going to the University of Florida for marketing. So this qualifies. It's just more paperwork that needs to be filled out. And once that is all set, she'll be meeting with Alice to start the training, and she'll be our new social media intern. I'm excited.
What will she be doing?
She'll be doing what Alice Fox does right now with the LinkedIn with our advertising. I don't know. Yeah, marketing, promotion. Yes.
Okay.
And it's a little interesting, as Ali mentioned, she's not a U.S. citizen. She's actually from Brazil, but she has a significant other in Lake George. She's actually lived and worked in the area, including working for Mannix Marketing for social media work with Lake George Winter Carnival. And she's actually here this summer, and then we'll be returning to the University of Florida in September. And she's also said to us she'd be happy to work through her school year just like Alice did. So great to have that continuity, and it's great to have Nicole with the experience she has. So I think we've got a real interesting win-win here.
Sounds good.
Great.
Okay. That's it for ongoing business from me.
Good. All right. Any new business?
I do have two topics, just as a heads up for our July 21st board meeting. We've talked about native development, building a 25,000 square foot building for specialty sales, who's backed out of the lease agreement, and native development finding a company called Capital Region Company, which is a cannabis company already operating in Schuylerville. I had sent out a memo on it for our July 21st board meeting, and there's already media coverage on it because Native Development and Capital Region Company were at Queensbury Planning Board getting the project approved, which Queensbury Planning Board has approved. So the last step for them in relocating from Schuylerville to Queensbury is for our board to approve the change in tenant. So just a heads up, and we'll talk more about that at the July 21st meeting, unless there are any early questions or comments. Okay.
Saratoga County?
Yes, it is. That's correct. And one of the pluses we have here is the commitment from Specialty Sales was for 8 jobs, and this company is committing up to 45 jobs. So we have significantly more number of jobs. So that will be an added boost to our local economy. The second update is we have received an application from Chris Patton for the construction of a housing unit at 10 Broad Street in Glens Falls. The reason it's coming to us as opposed to the Glens Falls IDA is the Glens Falls IDA does not do 100% housing. And as you all know that we do. So they were advised by Glens Falls, the mayor office, and Jeff Flagg from Economic Development to send us an application. Kara and Ali and I have completed the completeness review, and I'll be drafting the finding statement over the next week or two. And we will have that application for the board's consideration of acceptance in July. And then if everything's in good order, for board consideration of approval in August. And I won't go too far into the project, but it's a good sized project. It's a $6 million project. And it will be market level housing, including for some of the professionals working at Glens Falls Hospital. And that's it, unless there are any initial questions.
We're gonna hold the same parameters we held for the Bucks do. as far as.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear Tim. Say that again.
Are we going to hold them to the same parameters we had?
It's a great question, and I've written a email to them with that very explicit question, and they've gotten back. We have some work to do on that, so that's an open topic. More to come.
Okay, all right, yeah, it's gonna be.
And by the way, just as a side note, the Glens Falls IDA has another project with Chris Patton
Yeah.
on South Street, just 2 blocks, basically east of the 10 Broad Street location. And they in the Glens Falls did not put any cap on the rent because they knew that that housing was a little bit more structured towards some of the professionals working at Glens Falls Hospital and other area businesses. So that topic of having a cap was raised with Glens Falls, and they decided not to do it. As far as our project, every project's different. We have to go through the details, and then we'll come back with a recommendation of what to consider.
Sure. No, I'll just mention that other project you're referencing has a retail component.
Yes.
Had what? I'm sorry.
Has a large retail component.
Yes.
On the
Yeah.
south end.
Yeah. Mixed use.
So,
Yes.
There's a big difference between projects, like you pointed out.
Yep. Yep. So more to come on that project for our July board meeting. And that's it on new business, unless there are any further questions.
All right, anybody else have any new business? Anybody have any other business?
Lucky.
Are there any public comments? Are there any members of the public online, Kelly?
There is not.
There's no members of the public comment. Well.
I
with
have
that-
one for Mr. Barton.
Nick,
Yeah, you were going to give my wife and I a wedding or an anniversary present by taking us on a tour, and we haven't heard from you.
Yeah.
We'll do that in August when I'm back, okay? Or late July.
Okay, that's fine. Whenever. I just want to
And
remind
by
you.
the way, for all board members, if anybody's interested in re-seeing Canal Side, happy to do it anytime. So yeah, by all means, we'll get it, Nick. Don't worry.
I appreciate it.
great. One final
Yes.
chance for any public comments. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Dan, Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, folks.